I want to touch on this rallying cry that initially it might sound jarring to people who, maybe when they first heard it, or maybe they have heard it over and over again and maybe not know exactly what it means. But you explained it so well. What does defund the police mean?
Yeah, I think it's really important for folks to realize, because when people say defund the police, a lot of, the white middle class have been like, you talking about purge? And, it's not that. It's not that. It's really important to see that where we're at and what public safety means. And when we look at where we're at right now, we know that especially in poor neighborhoods, but even in rich white neighborhoods, you call the cops after the crime has happened, right? You call the cops once they've broken into your house. You call the cops after something's been stolen, after harm has been had. So if we can agree on that, then we can agree that the police aren't keeping us safe. They're just coming after to try to clean up after the mess has been made. What we're calling for is preventative measures. We're calling for, why is that person breaking into your house in the first place? What made them? What pushed them that? Is it mental health? Is it drug addiction? Is it poverty? Those are systemic issues, and we can fix those issues. So when we call for defunding the police, what we're calling for is an investment into communities, an investment into mental health, an investment into community services, into being able to address systemic poverty, being able to, right now we do not have no social safety net for those who have mental health issues. And when we call the police, they often end up dead. So what we're calling for is a change to that. And I think that's something that we can all agree on. Even police, I think, will agree that they are not, and they've said it before, they're not able to handle. They do not have the skills or equipped with, the tools to be able to handle mental health issues, to handle homelessness, to handle drug addiction, and yet those are the people who are being called. So when we call for defunding the police, we're calling for other people to call. Who else can we call to address drug addiction? Who actually has the skills and the tools and the training to be able to help in that situation, instead of what do police have? They're armed with only guns. And so what ends up happening is people who are in crisis then have the cops call on them, and then it creates a larger crisis. So when we call for defunding the police, we're calling for a reimagination of what safety is, and a rebuilding and restructuring of the social safety net, so that these crimes don't happen. And that makes us all safer, because when we strengthen the social safety net, when we make sure we leave no one behind, that's how you actually reduce crime. It's not by getting more cops on the street. It's by preventing people from having to do these crimes in the first place, because no one actually wants to commit crimes. It's the society that creates the structures where it causes people to feel like they have no other option but to commit these crimes. And so once we invest in community, we reduce our reliance on police, and that doesn't make us less safe, that makes us more safe.
Okay. So what do you say to someone who says, well, in recent years, there has been an increase in police funding and a decrease in the overall crime rate, and that correlation cannot be ignored? What do you say to a person with an argument like that?
So crime actually started going down under Bill Clinton. And despite the fact that crime was going down, there was a lot of factors in why that happened. But while crime was going down, he actually pushed for the crime bill, pushed for further criminalization of people, and also for further funding of police departments and prisons. And so we've created this system based off of this fear. And when you look at the type of ads Clinton was running to pass the crime bill, it was criminalization, and primarily of black men, and the right still does this. And, basically it's scare tactics. But when you look at the data, we see that crime's been going down regardless, and yet we've put all this money into police, and what has that done? How are we even defining crime? Because police killings have been going up as we've been overfunding these police departments, as we've been hiring military people to treat the streets of America like a battleground. And does that make us safer? I think we could all agree that doesn't make us safer. So I think when we look at what's needed and what helps, it's not more funding to the police department. Research has shown a great way to decrease crime is actually to fund pre-K education. And then when you fund pre-K education, all of those who get access to that, it reduces the likelihood that they will go into be victim of the school to prison pipeline, be victim of the whole carceral system. And so when we look at how much we're spending on police, and then we look at how much like a pre-K program costs, or how much it costs to reduce class sizes so that kids, because they're basing how many prisons to build off of third grade reading scores. And so we are continuing to divest from education, divest from like community resources, while we're investing into this militarized occupying police force. So what is that going to create? It's going to create like a war. We don't have money for education, but we have money for guns. Is that the type of society that we want to live in? That is not a society that we are safer. That's not a society where it's a society where we're all treated like criminals.